One of the biggest threats in business today is the weaponization of the U.S. government against its own people. If you are not concerned about this, wait until you hear today's story. Erin Brockovich is in trouble. Before I get started, if you are on social media, please share this video. It seems like my YouTube channel is getting shadow banned. This is something new for me. People have been contacting me and telling me they're not getting notifications, they cannot find my videos, and I'm a small YouTube channel. So the only way people are going to see my videos is if you share them. So if you find this video helpful, please pass it on and share the word. Let us talk about Erin Brockovich. In case you do not know who she is, in 2000, Julia Roberts made a movie about her life called Erin Brockovich. The story follows a former beauty queen, paralegal, single mom who helps to win a case against PG&E. PG&E is a large utility company that was dumping poisonous chemicals into the water supply. The chemical was called hexavalent chromium, which gives people cancer. Erin Brockovich organized the community to file a lawsuit, and in 1996, they won the largest settlement for a direct action lawsuit in U.S. history at that time, a total of $333 million. In case you do not know, Erin Brockovich makes a cameo in the movie as a waitress. This is the actual Erin Brockovich. Since then, Erin Brockovich has continued her advocacy on environmental issues. She understands where to look, how to do the testing, and how the legal process works. She runs her own consulting business out of California. Recently, she has taken an interest in the train disaster in East Palestine, Ohio. More than 2 months ago, on February 3rd, 2023, a train derailed carrying toxic chemicals. The National Transportation Safety Board claims the derailment was caused when a wheel bearing overheated. 38 train cars derailed and 11 contained toxic materials. After the derailment, they were faced with two choices. 1, let the train cars explode, or 2, perform a controlled release. Both options would have released chemicals into the community. They chose the second option. Now, in my opinion, they had more options than this, but these were the only two they considered. They burned off the chemicals, releasing a cloud of toxic gas into the community. People who live there have been suffering from side effects like loss of vision, shortness of breath, sore throats, even bleeding from the ears. The train company, Norfolk Southern, says they're not to blame. On February 23, 2023, 20 days after the crash, Norfolk Southern released a press release claiming they did everything right. They say, according to the NTSB initial report, the rail crew operated the train within the company's rules, the rail crew operated the train below the track speed limit, the wayside heat detectors were operating as designed. Once the rail crew was alerted by the wayside detector, they immediately began to stop the train. So they did nothing wrong, and yet the train still somehow derailed. The company CEO, Alan Shaw, went before Congress and said, "I am determined to make this right. Norfolk Southern will clean the site safely, thoroughly, and with urgency. You have my personal commitment." But they're only committing to clearing the tracks. Why have they not committed to anything else? They're not cleaning up the environmental impact to the community, or fixing the health problems of the residents, or paying for the economic losses to the area. The CEO also did not mention the fact that Norfolk Southern has had 5 significant accidents since December 2021. In fact, another train derailed in Alabama just hours before his testimony to Congress. This company is crashing trains all over the place. But it gets worse than this. Train companies are very powerful in the U.S. The campaign finance watchdog group called Open Secrets released a report last month that found the railroad industry has spent $653.5 million lobbying state and federal governments over the last 20 years. This money went to both Republicans and Democrats. Their goal was to reduce safety regulations to make more profit. So the point of this video is not to talk about safety violations or the government corruption. We are here to talk about Erin Brockovich. So she decided to get involved to see if there was some way that she can help out this community. She traveled to East Palestine, Ohio, to do her own investigation. A few weeks ago, she posted an update on her blog. She suggested that the EPA, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, has been lying. The EPA performed testing after the train crash and said that the air and water was free of contamination. But at a town hall meeting on March 28th, an EPA official admitted that the equipment they used in testing could not detect all the chemicals released from the train crash. So how could they say the air and water were clean? Erin Brockovich posted a photograph of an air filter from one of the residents. This is from a home 9 miles from the crash site. You can see the dirty air filter next to a clean one. Here's what you need to understand. This dirty air filter had been replaced 1 week prior to the train crash. Now you tell me, does this air look like it's clean? This is the air the EPA says is fine. This is the air people are breathing inside their homes. Since Erin Brockovich became involved, she has been targeted by the U.S. government. Last month, Yahoo News uncovered that the Department of Homeland Security released an alert naming Erin Brockovich as a terrorist threat. This was in a report released by the statewide Terrorism Analysis and Crime Center Terrorist Analysis Unit called STAC-TAU on February 24th, 3 weeks after the train crash. They called Erin Brockovich's activities special interest terrorism. In the alert, they say, DHS assesses that special interest extremist groups will continue to call for changes in governmental policy which may lead to protests in around East Palestine and/or the State House in Columbus. This memo goes into great detail about Erin Brockovich's activities. It says, on February 24th, environmental activist Erin Brockovich, United States person, is scheduled to be in East Palestine to explain residents' legal rights. Erin Brockovich has urged the community to use common sense and ask questions. Brockovich is also placing blame solely on Norfolk Southern. The STAC-TAU assessed this event could potentially increase tensions within the community. This document is shocking. DHS issued this report to statewide law enforcement as well as local law enforcement. The report was also placed on the federal DHS online platform and distributed to 150,000 partners across the nation. So imagine this situation. You are a local cop sitting at the police station. You receive a report from DHS, the Department of Homeland Security. These are the types of reports you receive when there is a terrorist threat in your town. So you pick up this report and you see the name of the threat is Erin Brockovich. Police officers then show up at Erin Brockovich's events looking for violent extremists that do not exist. They are describing her in the same category as the January 6 insurrectionists. All she's doing is explaining people their legal rights. Erin Brockovich is not a terrorist. What about the train company who actually destroyed the town? Why aren't they the terrorists? This looks like the U.S. government is protecting the rich corporations at the expense of the American people. This is an example of weaponizing law enforcement to go after anyone who complains. What is even worse, is that you are paying for it. Your tax dollars are paying for someone's salary to sit in the Department of Homeland Security and spy on Erin Brockovich. The language in this report is really disturbing. What they describe as suspicious activity is Erin Brockovich encouraging the community to use common sense and ask questions. How is it that someone using common sense is now considered suspicious activity? Can we no longer use common sense? Are we no longer able to ask questions? What kind of bizarre world is this? We need to be very clear. It is unacceptable for our government to do this to us. In America, we have something called freedom of speech. We have the right to speak out without the government tracking us or harassing us. If Erin Brockovich wants to be a community organizer and fight against injustice, that is her right as an American. She is not a terrorist. She is a hero. But hold on, it gets worse. In the same report, DHS also highlights an advocacy group working with Erin Brockovich called Earth Justice. This is an environmental group that advocates for protecting wildlife and the environment. After the train crash, Earth Justice called on the Ohio governor to take on more aggressive actions to save wildlife that was dying from the chemicals. Just to be clear, this is not the type of extreme environmentalists that chain themselves to trees, for example. This is a group of lawyers that take on environmental cases. So these are not terrorists either. This is just a bunch of lawyers. Here's why this is important. Earth Justice is a Democrat group. They are very politically active. They work on campaigns to get Democrats elected because they believe in climate change. Erin Brockovich, on the other hand, is not political. She has always been a hero for the left, but has never identified as either Republican or Democrat. But Earth Justice is clearly made of Democrats. So, this is one of the first major examples of the government being weaponized against Democrats. We've been hearing a lot of criticism from Republicans about the weaponization of the government. We hear about Trump being unfairly targeted and Trump's friends being targeted and arrested. A lot of left-leaning people are okay with it because it's the other side. But people better start paying attention because now the government is coming after the Democrats also. If you say the wrong thing and step out of line, the government will label you as a terrorist and come after you. I just hope that people understand that these types of government actions are unacceptable. That report should never have been written. There's nothing wrong with what Erin Brockovich did. Nothing. There is nothing wrong with people in a community complaining about being poisoned by a company. There is also nothing wrong with speaking out against the government. It does not mean you are a terrorist. It means you are an American practicing your freedom of speech. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think that the government's actions were out of line here? Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Zach from Wolves in Finance. Let's go out and make some money.